Hello, basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. A great center like Nick Claxton could put the Warriors back on track to win a championship. Big deal suggestion: Warriors sign Nick Claxton. As the Warriors entered the offseason, they knew they could not rely on their current center rotation, which at the moment only includes youngsters Quinton Post and Tracy Jackson-Davis, to guide them into contention. While Post showed offensive splashes last season, shooting 40.8% from three-point range, his defensive game was lacking. Although he will almost certainly take large strides this season in that area of his game, head coach Steve Kerr showed a relative hesitance to give Post the keys to a starting spot throughout his rookie season. Moreover, after letting veteran Kevin Looney in free agency, Golden State now sorely needs a player that can blend seamlessly into the team's style of off-ball movement. While Horford, who averaged 9 points, 6.2 rebounds, and 2.1 assists and shot 36.3% from three-point range last season, would certainly provide this presence for the team, his addition would mean that 4 of the Warriors starters would be over the age of 35. In a recent mock trade published by Sports Illustrated, Golden State would address this issue by instead swapping Buddy Hield and Moses Moody for 26-year-old Nick Claxton. Last season with the Nets, Claxton averaged 10.3 points, 7.4 rebounds, and 2.2 assists while shooting 23.8% from beyond the arc. While Moody and Hield were both vital pieces to the team last season, both were relatively streaky shooters, and, with the apparently likely addition of DeAnthony Melton, the team could afford to move on from Hield in order to address a more dire need. Moody, although he took large strides last year on the offensive end, is still largely an unknown commodity, and the Warriors could shore up their rotation in his absence by adding free agent sharpshooter Amir Coffey on a cheap deal. Yet, Claxton does not necessarily fit into Golden State's current timeline, as he is only in his second year of a 4-year, $97 million deal. While Claxton would not bring the three-point shooting and veteran experience that Horford would, he could be the preferable addition in order to provide another injection of youth into the team's rotation, a facet they need desperately in order to contend for another title. Warriors need Jonathan Kuminga whether they want to admit it or not. He could be vital this season. As the Golden State Warriors have searched for a resolution to restricted free agent Jonathan Kuminga's contract situation, it has become more likely that Kuminga will return to the team on a short-term, tradable deal. Despite this fact, there are still numerous questions surrounding Kuminga's fit on the roster, and, although a sign-and trade is still certainly possible, it would be best for the Warriors if they could find a way to maximize Kuminga's potential in the upcoming season. With an aging veteran core, Golden State needs a burst of youth, and, although there is an established discrepancy between the coaching staff and Kuminga, the young forward could be exactly what they need to compete in the Western Conference. Kuminga could be an uneasy solution for the Warriors. As the Warriors look to retool their roster for next season around their veteran core of Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green, many eyes have turned to free agent center Al Horford as a probable fit. However, signing Horford at age 39 would make it so that 4 of Golden State's starters would be over the age of 35. As was seen in last year's playoffs, age and the resultant injuries can have a major effect on the Warriors' rotation, with both Butler and Curry missing playoff games due to injury. Moreover, throughout the course of last season, Curry missed 12 games due to injury or rest, while Green missed 14. According to Anthony Slater at ESPN, the team might desperately need Kuminga to step up during times where the team's premier scorers are absent. On the recent episode of the Hoop Collective, Slater said, "The Warriors are going to need scoring, they're going to need athleticism, and they're going to need pop during an 82-game regular season, and, I think, lost in a lot of what's going on right now with Kuminga is that he is needed at times." Kuminga, as a dynamic scoring option and often dependable ball handler, is certainly Golden State's best offensive threat outside of their main starters, a fact that he displayed in full force as Curry went down against the Minnesota Timberwolves. In the 4 games against Minnesota in which Curry was missing, Kuminga averaged 24.3 points. Although his performances were not enough to keep the team afloat, He was essentially the only bright spot offensively during that stretch for the team. Although the Warriors are clearly uneasy about Kuminga's fit in the starting lineup with Butler and Green, his impact off the bench. Next Warrior to be traded is painfully obvious in stalled offseason. The high point of the NBA offseason came and went without the Golden State Warriors doing anything. The entire offseason has gone by without the team re-signing a player, signing a new face, or making a trade. Fans have been waiting for a restricted free agency domino to drop. What will happen with Jonathan Kuminga? On Thursday, ESPN NBA insider Shams Charania reported that he spoke with Kuminga, saying that the forward is in good spirits and in no rush to decide his future. Charania added that the Warriors received offers from the Suns and Kings, but that they weren't enough. Kuminga wants to be a featured player, something that hasn't happened in the Bay, and won't happen if he sticks around. He wants the opportunity to prove that he's a star. If he had things his way, he'd get the payday he wants from another team. There is a reason why he isn't in a rush to accept the Warriors' offers. We're in the dead part of the offseason, but maybe we'll eventually get some action with a Kuminga sign-and trade. Or, if the Warriors sign him to a 2- or 3-year deal, he could be traded before the February deadline. So, if he isn't traded this summer, odds are he will be during the season or next offseason, unless he magically finds the fit he wants in San Francisco. A sign-and trade is still an option for the Warriors and Jonathan Kuminga. ESPN's Anthony Slater confirmed that Golden State wants a promising young player and a first-round pick for Kuminga in a sign-and trade. The Suns mortgaged their future for Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal, two players who aren't on the roster anymore, so they don't have a first-round pick to send to the Warriors. Slater added that Kuminga's agent, Aaron Turner, has spent much of July searching for sign-and trade opportunities. Kuminga is stuck between a rock and a hard place as a restricted free agent. Teams no longer have the cap space to make him an offer, so his path to leaving the Warriors this offseason is a sign-and trade. Again, it's clear that he wants to go. He's holding out on accepting an offer from Golden State, hoping that an opportunity to leave will materialize. Fans might have thought that this saga would come to an end soon, as we're at the end of July. While that could happen, it doesn't seem likely. Will a sign-and trade happen? Or will Kuminga agree to a short-term deal with the Warriors, banking on a future trade? Jonathan Kuminga decision has likely deadline that will relieve Warriors fans. A decision may be looming. The ongoing stalemate between Jonathan Kuminga and the Golden State Warriors has caused plenty of frustration among fans, but there's a potentially imminent deadline in sight that could cause a break in the deadlock between player and franchise. Kuminga told ESPN's Shams Charania last week that he is in no rush to sign a new deal with the Warriors as his free agency wanders toward the month of August, yet that mindset could shift quickly if nothing is forthcoming in the next 2 weeks. Jonathan Kuminga is set to play in Afrobasket starting August 12. The talented young forward has been named in the Democratic Republic of Congo's squad for the upcoming Afrobasket, starting on August 12 and to be played over 2 weeks in Angola. The tournament could provide Warrior fans some relief as a potential deadline to proceedings, with history suggesting that most participants in international events like these far prefer to have their NBA contracts solidified before undertaking play. If Kuminga was to participate at Afrobasket without a new contract in place, he would risk the impact that a potentially serious injury could have on negotiations. It's therefore unlikely that he would take such a gamble, meaning he'd have to either sign a new NBA contract or forego representing his country this summer. It's a potentially significant new factor in Golden State's leverage after their increased motivations to reach a new deal with Kuminga fell on flat ears last week. According to NBA insider Mark Stein during a report on his Substack on Monday, the Warriors have offered Kuminga a deal in the range of 2 years, $40 million, which would retain their flexibility to trade the 22-year-old mid-season once eligible. Kuminga has been resistant to these types of offers so far, with his camp instead exploring sign-and-trade scenarios to destinations that could promise a starting role and the opportunity to blossom into the star he wishes to become. The Sacramento Kings and Phoenix Suns have been the two teams most strongly linked to Kuminga in the last week, with Kuminga having reportedly spoken to Kings GM Scott Perry and coach Doug Christie. Unfortunately for Kuminga and the Kings, the Warriors have to be willing to play ball in a sign-and trade to which they've held the former 7th overall pick in high value. They themselves may now identify the start of Afrobasket as a potential date where Kuminga could change his mind and re-sign, subsequently bringing an end to a long drawn-out process which would allow Golden State to get on with their other free agency moves.